So what is SharePoint anyway, and what can it do for me? That question I get everywhere I go. So I always say there's two kinds of folks: people that love SharePoint and people that will eventually love SharePoint. Okay, so what is this thing? SharePoint solves quite a few problems. One of the problems it solves is email attachments. We keep going to IT and asking for bigger and bigger and bigger inboxes because we keep getting email with bigger and bigger and bigger attachments. So one of the things that SharePoint does is allows us to send a link to where this file can be found in one common location. So rather than attaching a file, we can just click on a link and land there. So that's one problem that SharePoint solves for us. Another problem that SharePoint solves for us is collaboration. So I think the best thing that can be said about the way a lot of us collaborate today is clunky. Our collaboration is clunky. And it's clunky because we're waiting for someone to finish their edits first before we do ours. So it goes in this round robin of email, and people are getting the attachment, they're making their changes and forwarding it on. Or worse, we're all trying to get in the same file in the same network location at the same time, and we have no idea what's been done. So SharePoint actually allows sane collaboration. So not only can multiple people be in a document at the same time, and that's with SharePoint 2010 and Word 2010, you can actually control collaboration. So somebody could submit a document for comment, and we can make it go through a workflow. So it's submitted, and then it goes to a different library when everyone's gotten their input, and maybe that's called the in-process library, and then finally it can be moved to the final procedures, for example. And that's all done with a workflow. These are pretty hard things to get going if you're just using a plain old network share. So some people look at SharePoint and go, so what's the big deal? What's the difference between SharePoint and a network share? The way I like to describe it is a network share is kind of like a warehouse. You have to know what aisle to walk down, what shelf it's on, and exactly the location of the product or the file you want to get. SharePoint kind of functions more like a showroom. So everything is arranged kind of how you're going to use it. So rather than going to shelf 4, aisle 6 for the dining room table and shelf 6, aisle 20 for the chairs, it's all set up and it looks like a dining room. And you're going to use all of your resources just the way they're laid out. So on a team site, for example, in SharePoint, you can have a calendar, you can have announcements, you can have shared files, you can have everything you need all in one place. So when you're asking yourself, what is SharePoint and what can it do for me? I want you to think, if I had everything I need arranged on my desk exactly the way I used it, would that be helpful? And if that's what you're after, SharePoint can deliver it for you.